everyone. Welcome to Into Naija Fashion today. This is actually something that I have been really looking forward to, and I am so excited about the panelists because these are people who are, you know, practitioners of the fashion industry for, quite a number of years, and they have a wealth of experience, especially as regards fashion education in Nigeria. So I know Teju has a fashion school, and she's really interested in taking people the tech way.
Yes.
So that's Teju, and I know Mrs. Aisha is also really interested in having people get better in fashion. She has a hub, and she organizes fashion parts almost every day. And I have been joining in sometimes, and it's been really educating. And Mrs. Atinuke, I went to her fashion school actually, and she's very big on knowing what you are doing. Basically, like she doesn't even play with that. So I'm really excited to have every one of you here. So I know I have not done justice to that. So I'll just like us to, just introduce yourselves. Let's tell everybody who we are, and then we get to it. So I'll just call according to how I can see it on my computer. So Teju, I can see Teju first. So Teju, please, can you go introduce yourself to us?
I would have preferred to be probably one of the last people, but it's fine. Okay, so my name is Adedoko Olateju. I've been running like a fashion business for 7 years now. I would like to call myself a fashion entrepreneur. I have my fashion brand, which is Seventh Avenue. I also do Ashoke branded footwear on the side, as well as I have a fashion online fashion training. Uh, yeah, for me, I'm very passionate about fashion technology. That's why I came to Paris in the first place to come and learn fashion technology because I believe technology is the future of the world. And also, I'm passionate about having structured education, which is something it's not really easy to find in Africa. So that's why we had to make the trip all the way here. Anyways, I'm really interested in teaching young African designers how to be in the front for front row of the fashion industry, and I believe that fashion technology is our key because it's still a relatively new field in fashion industry everywhere in the world. So if we can leverage on it fast enough, I feel like we'll have a very big country start.
Wow, thank you.
I think that
Okay, thank you. All right, so I can see Mrs. Smith next.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tinuke Smith. I'm the CEO of Datina Design, and I've been in the fashion space for this is my 26 years of being in this space, and it's been an interesting journey. I started out with I started in 1995. There wasn't any entrepreneurship, no training. We just have, the normal training that we have around there. No pattern drafting, nothing. Just look and learn how to sew. That was what we did then. But as years go by, I was able to improve myself, kept, doing some foreign courses and all that and all that to get better along the way. My mom was a fashion designer actually. So that also helped in a way. So I've been in the space and I was able to, when I started seeing that we had a lot of problems with fashion school and all that, I started one. And I've been able to train, I think, like 5,000. And it's been very interesting journey. So, and I'm still growing, even with all the years, And my desire is to see the fashion industry in Nigeria better and better, especially our fashion school. There are people in the business that do not even have the business they shouldn't be in the business of training people right now. I mean, the whole thing is crazy, it's like a jungle. But I pray that, God will help us to put structure into this and really know who should be doing what and what should everybody finding their space and really doing the right thing. So God will help us. I think what Esther is trying to do is part of the things we need to do. When we raise, conversations and discussions like this, it will help us to be able to know, start enlightening people on who should actually be training and who should not. Do you have the right skills and all that to train? And do you have the standard fashion school and all that? So I pray that this will be a beginning of a new, a movement that will help us put structure in our fashion industry. God will help us. Looking forward to seeing this what we are starting right now be like let it be like a movement to bring change into the fashion industry, especially the training aspect, to see us having better standardized trainings and all that. And everybody really being able to know that whether you belong to the training or you should do something else apart from training, just putting some standard in our training and all that. So I'm hoping that this will be a movement. This will be the beginning of a discussion that will bring that around. Especially since we're having our president, the father president here. I hope he joins us so that we can actually have more discussion, because since he is more influential, he should be able to bring some sort of structure into the fashion industry.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ma. Okay, so Mrs.
Yeah.
Aisha,
Hi everyone, good afternoon.
good afternoon.
My name is Aisha Achonu. I'm the founder of Fashion Spaces Hub. So I started out as a fashion designer, and then I went on to build the hub and my garment factory. So basically, the hub is supposed to help people collaborate, people in our value chain, primarily the fashion value chain. So pattern makers, illustrators, designers, tailors, everyone can just find each other and work together so we can just generally grow the ecosystem. So thank you, Esther, for this opportunity. It's amazing. It would help us talk more and find solutions that can help. So yes, I'm firstly a fashion designer and then a founder of the hub for the progress of the industry.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, again for being here, and I also look forward to a very, very insightful conversation. Okay, so well, basically, this Into Naija Fashion started basically because we want to look into our industry. We want to see how well we have done in the past, where we are now, and what the future, looks like for us. Basically, we want to discuss things that can help us move the industry forward, basically. So today we're going to be looking at the gaps in structure and fashion education. The first question I would like to ask, and I think I want to ask Mrs. Smith. So I would like to ask you that what do you think is the role of formal education when it comes to fashion? I mean, what do you think is the role of formal fashion training? Because most people learn how to sew and design. Thank God you told us that when you started out, it was just look and learn. But now the industry is a lot more bigger. There are so many people in the industry. So what do you think?
Okay. Thank you very much, Esther. I think it's very important because I'm aware that some universities are already, offering. They call it clothing and textile and clothing or something like that. I know some universities are offering it already as a course, 4 years course, like a degree course already. But I don't know how deep, because I've taken a few of the students from such universities to work with me, and I see that what they've learned is not really, they cannot really, they can't translate what they've learned practically. I don't know why. Maybe they did it like it's more of there's no practical side of it. That's what I'm trying to say. So they have to now pick that up when they come to maybe learn more or work with you or something like that. So I think the former side of it has to be very well established. Then we have a lot of people that did not go to school, that are into fashion and designing. A lot of them, we have, they just do maybe the local tailors and all that. They teach people all how to sew. But you find out that when they finish, they are not employable. You cannot, you can't communicate with them properly. They don't understand what you're saying, except for a few that really maybe they've learned over the years, maybe like 5 years, 10 years. They've been, with experience, they've grown with the job, because we employ some of them, some men that are actually, good at what they do, but you will find out that they've been at the profession maybe like 10 years. But so I think the formal part of it should be established. We need to do that. The schools need to start taking it up, even from our secondary schools. They should introduce it as a course, as a subject. I remember when we were growing up, we used to have home economics, and they teach us little things, how to sew the buttons, how to do stitches, and little we have few machines. And when I was growing up, when I was in secondary school, that's what we had. At least it gave us an idea of at least a little bit of how to stitch your clothes if it's you have any issue with it, or all that. But they didn't go deeper beyond that. And I've also taken the home economics courses with some schools that invited me to come and take some. Maybe they have like a hub for them, for their students, and some of them decided to learn a little bit of. But it's not really deep enough. So I think because of the way things are now, I mean, vocational training is sort of the way to go now. It's more of the way to go now for our young people. They need to have the skill, because the field of medicine and everywhere is jam packed, and the jobs are not really there like it is before. So I think every young person should have something to learn. So I think all secondary schools should introduce it properly, not just like the way they do it before, like home economics. It should be a formal education for those, at least those who are leaving secondary school should have a proper idea. So when they are leaving, they have something solid. Even if there is nothing yet, no admission yet, they have something solid that they can use to make ends meet, or at least be useful to the society and all that. So I think we should go formal with it. And I don't know what we're going to do about those who are not going to school and are learning the trade. I think that's a big gap. So I don't know how we're going to reach. So that, and there's so many of them. Formal education is the way to go. We need to do that. Then our universities too should have proper courses. They are trying to do things like that, because I'm involved with a technical university, the one that was started in Oyo State. And they brought us on board to see how we can help some of these university students to actually take the courses, do all the practical side, and practical and the class works and all that. But it's still in progress. Everything is not properly, it's not in proper fusion yet. So I think we need to go formal with it, so that we take it at proper courses. The foundations will be well laid for whoever wants to go in that direction.
Thank you very much. Teju, you've been training people, as regards fashion. You've been teaching people how to sew and stuff like that. So, do you really think that a lot has been done? Because I want to believe that some of the people that come, not all of them, some of them that come to you actually have some level of knowledge, as regards how to sew and everything. But do you think they are properly armed with all the skills they need? From previous stuff. Do you think they're properly armed with all the skills to be fashion designers now, not just tailors? Because I think we have a lot of tailors that are not necessarily, fashion designers. Tailors are part of the value chain. Fashion designers are part of the value chain. But so what do you think is the skill when you want to rate the level of skills? Yeah.
Okay, so I have to first start with this. In Nigeria, we mix up all the rules. So the fact that we do not have the rules very defined, everything is mixed up. Like you said, fashion designers, you already know that outside Africa, most fashion designers do not take part in the technical aspect. They actually just concentrate on the design. And trust me, the design is already a handful. That's why a lot of times in Africa, in Nigeria, we are all recycling designs. We're not really creating original designs, because the fashion designers are focusing so much on the technical aspect of it, which is supposed to be the job of the seamstresses or the tailors or the garment manufacturers, basically. That's one. So when I started training people, I started advanced training, because for me, I was fortunate enough to actually learn from advanced people that were advanced. So I was fortunate enough to learn something above the basics, and with years of experience, I built up on that. And because I am a junkie for additional knowledge, so I kept building up on that. And most of the people that came to me, actually, they realized the fact that their basic sewing skills were not good enough. That's why they wanted something more advanced. So I was doing advanced training for such a long time before I even started beginners classes and all the likes, because people wanted to actually, so people realized there's a gap. That's the fashion designers themselves, they know there's a gap. Me, myself, I knew there was a gap. That's why I decided to come outside Africa to actually seek more knowledge. So the fact is that there's a gap, which we all No, there is. And the only thing that can fill that void is actually formal education and structure. And that's what would make you realize that there's different job roles for different people. And people shouldn't like be um, circling around trying to do everything on their own. The truth is, yes, it's a cheaper option, but it's not, it doesn't, I don't think it gets
Not
the best of the
sustainable.
result. Yes, so people need to realize that we need that formal education. Fashion education industry is at its lowest at this point. We do not have any structure of any point, and this is kind of like the foundation. So if we get it wrong now, it's going to just be messed up all the way to the top. So this is like the big chance, and because I believe like when there's a problem, it's an opportunity that shows up. So this is like the big chance for us to actually, and then there's a need for collaboration because not one person can do it on their own. So I believe that instead of us saying, oh, there should be formal education, I believe people should start to team up. What is to say that the biggest fashion education people in the industry can team up together and actually create a standard way of, maybe with the help of the government or not, like with the investments and all of that. And yeah, they can get investment. I mean, they are supposed to be the big shots in the fashion education industry. Team up together and create something of a top-notch fashion school or fashion, like I mean a proper fashion school that has the structure. Of course, you will need also the help of people that have the experience. So me, I know that here in Europe, most of the time, how they recruit staff for the fashion schools, like proper fashion schools, are people that have actually gone through the training and have excelled at it. So like you see, it's a circle. So we need collaboration. We need people to start thinking outside the box. One of the biggest problems we have in Africa is people are not willing to collaborate.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be their own master of all trade. And which is something for me, I've even started like to start to piece out. So for me, I'm trying to like get more collaboration. I'm trying to be more niche specific as well. I'm a sucker for fashion technology. I've not started training people yet on fashion technology because I realize the fact that it needs to be properly done. So I know things that interest me is 3D printing, 3D pattern making, 2D pattern making, all these things that actually are going to be in the nearest future, the future of the world. And right now, the whole world has not even, the whole fashion industry has not even pieced it together yet. Yeah. I see like people are already doing 3D exhibitions and all, but then after them, what next? Like people are, even outside the world, like they haven't pieced it together. So for us, we have to start to think smart. There's a need for collaboration.
But okay, so maybe I'll just ask Mrs. Aisha this. I mean, what do you think is the role of government when it comes to proper structuring of the fashion industry? Because, you know, I mean, Teji is not the first person saying this. This is a conversation I love to have most of the time. And I've talked to a lot of people, and some believe that, well, see, forget about the government. They're not going to do anything. And then some other people are of the opinion that, you know, we need the government to help us put in some structures, you know, some policies and things like that. So what do you think is the role of the government when it comes to, you know, creating structures, first in the fashion schools and then, you know, in the industry as a whole?
So basically, I think the government has a lot to do with it. We cannot totally rely on the government. We as a sector need to be structured as well. I know we have Fashion Designers Association of Nigeria, but I don't know if the fashion schools, Mrs. Smith can give us this information, if they have an association for owners of fashion schools. You don't. You're on mute. We can't hear you.
Your microphone is mute, ma. Let me unmute her.
It's like a jungle. We don't have any structure. Even you know how it is now. The tailors are everybody's a fashion designer. Those who are supposed to be tailors are also fashion designers. Those who are not supposed to be trained are also training. They don't have manuals. There's no structured anything. Everybody's just, you know, it's like a jungle. I'm telling you. So there's nothing like any structure anywhere.
For me, this is where stakeholders have to take responsibility. I think Since Mrs. Smith is here, I'll just put it to us that are on this forum. Mrs. Smith, maybe you should call a couple of fashion school owners. Call them
Yeah.
and say, listen, let us have a sit down. Some
Okay.
people jumped into fashion school, they jumped out yesterday and they are training other people. What parameters are they
Yes, you can
using to
imagine.
train? You know,
Exactly.
what standards are they working with?
Mm-hmm.
I know that NBTE, the board for tertiary institution, has a
Mm.
curriculum that they are supposed to be working with. But it may surprise you that a lot of people who put together that curriculum are not people that are in the fashion value chain. You know, so these are some of the issues. I think the responsibility falls on the government and falls on us as a sector. Let us organize ourselves first. If you're a fashion designer, go and join Fadan. Owners of fashion schools, come together. When you even have the small owners of schools or people that are training that don't have enough capacity, the older trainers, you've been in the industry for 26 years, you can tell them, come, let me give you private training so that you can train appropriately, so you don't mistrain people. You know, you train them badly, they go into the market, they offer crappy service, and then that just messes up our image as a whole. I've been trying to tell everybody in our value chain that we are not each other's competition. We are competing against Bangladesh, India, China, these
Yeah,
other
that's the
countries.
competition. That's the
Yes,
competition.
those
Yeah.
are the people that we need to compete against because we have the human capacity.
Mm.
60% of our population are youths.
Mm.
If we
Yeah.
can all collaborate and everybody faces what they are doing. Teju mentioned that fashion designers are also garment makers, and it's true. I went to Fashion Academy Abuja from day one up till today. I can't cut freehand.
Wow.
It's not that I don't want to, but I don't
Have
bother
you?
because from day one, I focused on creating. And the
Mm.
fact that I had a weakness with fixing zips just made me, I never really sew. I think I have not sewn in maybe 4 years. I only sewed a mask recently because from day one, I had a pattern maker. I
Mm.
focused on creating the
Creating your
designs. I
designs.
would
Yeah.
have designs for 2 years. When that collection is supposed to come out, I touch it up, I research on trends, and I tweak this and that.
Wow.
So my pattern maker makes the patterns, and the garment people, they join it. I
Oh,
had a
yeah.
quality control person, yes. While I was still a journalist, yes, I didn't have that. I would make the pattern myself, then cut it, and then piece the thing together and take it to my tailor who was in the market and show him how to do it. But I tell you, 6 months after that, when I started the business for real, I hired everybody for that office. And it was like commission. You come, you do your own, you go.
I go.
At
Yeah.
that time, yes, people were like, oh, I want salary. I say, I can't afford it. I'm just
Yeah.
starting out. I can't afford it. And I don't want to do it because I want it to be a system that is sustainable. So
I
let everybody do their part. The
yeah.
government, if we do not go to them in
They won't come.
unity,
Yeah.
yes, they won't come to
You
you.
take us
The
serious.
Yeah.
entertainment industry has done it. Let us go to them in unity. We all come together. When we go to government, they will know that we are ready. They will not make any policy, even for import and export. And they will also tell the textiles what to do because that affects our industry directly.
Mm.
So let us come together first. We have to come together. Otherwise, there's no magic that is going to happen.
Yeah.
Can I say something also? I think Taju was saying, it's true that the government, will not help us and all that. We are the ones that will make the change actually. So we need the school, some schools and everything. We need, because all these young people, there are so many of them that live in secondary school, and there's nothing really for them. But and I see a lot of them that desire to learn this trade, but that we have to make it formal from the school structure so that at least they have a path to follow. Like it's part of the structure. We also create a structure for young people that are interested at the early age, how to enter into it and how to, learn it the right way and all that. So we need to also put, it's part of the structure. We need to put it because the schools are already structured, so we can jump on their own structure to use it to do whatever it is, kickstart whatever it is we want to do. Because if we just say we come together and start something, it's not really Nigeria, it's not really easy. But if you are going through a particular, they can frustrate us, I know, but they already have a structure. So we can walk through that structure. We can't ignore them, and we cannot wait for the government. So everything we can do, like you have said, we can come together, collaborate, but also use the existing structure that we have to also
Yes.
make what it
Yes.
is we want to do to work. So I think we can't ignore them completely, but we can also make use of the existing structures that we have on ground.
Yeah. Okay, so I was based on what Mrs. Aisha was saying, the fact that she had to like employ everybody that she needed to do their own part basically. So now my question is, do you think by the time we start giving priority to taking people based on their skills, based on what their specialty is, do you think that by the time we start paying attention to that, then people will be forced to find a specialty? By the time we start paying attention to, okay, I am in need of a pattern drafter, and then everybody takes initiative like that, do you think it will give some certain kind of structure to what people will now start paying attention to?
I think so. I have learned something over time, not to assume that people know what they are supposed to do.
Mm.
Let me tell you what taught me this. I had a maid that I gave a deodorant to. And at that time, I didn't want a very young lady. I wanted somebody who was older so that the person can take initiative, right? So she was divorced and she wasn't looking to remarry immediately. And so I hired her and I gave her deodorant spray, the sure one,
Yeah.
right? And then when I come back to the house will be smelling amazing, right? She would be the only person that wasn't smelling good. And I called her to the side. I said, I gave you deodorant now. Like when you shower, just use it. You can't walk around smelling up the place. People will not tell you, but they will gossip about you. And she said, oh, that thing I gave her, that she thought it was an air freshener. So she put it in the house instead of using it for her underarms.
Wow.
So since that day, I decided to myself that if I wanted to give instructions, I would be very detailed about it. I stopped assuming based on how people look or how, that they would know. Because also, people are not magicians. They may not know what you want them to do. They can't see your mind. So, since that day, if I want a pattern maker, I would put out an advert that I want a pattern maker who can draft X, Y, Z kinds of pattern. If I want somebody that drapes, I would also include draping. If I want a joiner or a tailor, I would indicate the kind of finishing techniques that I want. So I think we should all begin to do that. It would also inform the people that are coming that we are not going to a place that people have no expectations. So this is their expectation. So if you don't have it, you won't even apply.
Right.
But when it's broad like that, somebody that has been sitting down doing nothing will just say, I've been here. I'll go and buy fabric, come back. I'll go and buy a cara, come back. So I'm in fashion. And they can only make kimono. Obioma can make a kimono. So now, if you want, you indicate exactly what you want. The person will not come if they don't have the capacity.
Yeah.
And it will prompt people also to go and better themselves.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, so
Yes, sorry, I want to quickly add
oh,
to what she said. It's really
okay.
true, because one of the things that actually made me decide I wanted to seek more education abroad was I was looking for a job outside Nigeria, like a fashion design job outside Nigeria. And by the time I saw all their qualifications, what they actually wanted, I realized that Almost
You know that
95% of Nigerian designers do not have this
you
skill.
know match up.
Like they put the softwares they want you to know how to use.
Yeah.
They put like
Mhm.
everything to the T. And by the time I searched for like, I looked at like 50 different job descriptions, and I'm like, okay, if you want to be on this level, you can't keep staying in Africa and expecting that this will jump to you. So that is true, because the more when people know like what the job description of what you need is, you kind of prompt people to start to better their skill. It's just like, and the truth is, this happens in the corporate world. I don't know why we don't put all these things that we learn that is already in place in the corporate world into the fashion industry. I still believe that people take it as a joke, like
Yeah.
the fashion industry as a hobby. They don't
Yeah.
see like a real industry with like a real corporate industry. Because the truth is, if you are looking for a corporate job, the same thing, they give you your job description. Even when you are writing your CV and your cover letter, you are writing it based on those job descriptions that was given to you. So I can do this particular thing, which is kind of like what shapes the corporate world. Everybody wants to be skilled to the level of the employment that they want. And it's
Yes.
true. And we need to start to like work on this as a fashion industry in general, in code.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So I was going to ask that. So now, saying all this, the fact that the fashion industry, or let's say, when you want to get a job, you need a certain kind of qualification and everything. I think that in Nigeria, what most of the fashion schools do is to train people on the, how do I put it now, more like the creative part. But when it comes to talking about the business side, I mean, at the end of the day, it is a business. You're not just going to do things anyhow. You're not just going to. It's not a hobby, because I mean, Sergio just said that some people still take it as hobby, and that's why you hear people pay ridiculous prices for fashion pieces. I mean, and what we do mostly in Nigeria is bespoke, and bespoke is like the
The
most
king.
expensive
Yes.
kind of, you if it's ready to wear, okay, I mean, you can just price it anyhow, not anyhow sha, but you know what I mean. I mean, you may not put so much, but I mean, what we do in Nigeria basically is bespoke, because people come with what they want, you have to do what they want and all that, and yet we still undercharge, the
And
business,
change it 10 times.
and change it 10 times. It's actually
I,
really,
I, I wanted the flower here. Is there-
the hand is tight, all these kind of things. So how do we, fit in business and creativity in fashion schools? Let me throw that to Mrs. Smith.
Okay. I remember that like I was saying, when I started out, there's nothing like all this entrepreneurship and all that. We were just, just go there, cut and sew. That was all we went. Start to improve myself. Then when I started the business, and I saw that I was just in a circle. The thing was not growing. I was just, money will come. I can't even, I don't understand the business. I thought
The way it
there's a
enters
problem
to go
here.
out.
I said there's a problem here. Oh. 5 years,
It did not matter
nothing to
how
show.
much you made, it will still come.
Nothing to. I can't see the money. The money is not. I can't understand the whole thing. The business side was just zero. I knew that something was wrong. At least I went to university now. I'm not an illiterate. So what is the issue here? I had to go to Lagos Business School. Until I went there to learn how to, do my bookkeeping, my customer service, I had to do that. Then I now realized, oh wow, there's life somewhere else actually. And the business just took on the life of its own and started to grow because the knowledge is now different. I now know that okay, there is a side of the business side of my business is different from the skill side. How do I keep my money? How do I keep customer service? How do I, so many other areas that I didn't know anything about. How do we, even as we manufacture, how do we, give targets? How do we, everything, I have to learn it. So it changed the face of my business. So I know that, it's a very important area that we need to emphasize to people. We need to make sure, even as we do our fashion school, there should be entrepreneurship training also that will go, side by side. That should be there. So as they are learning out the creative side, they also have to learn the business side, which is very important. So, and I see a lot of our fashion school do not have that. When I started out, I didn't have it. I was just training people, and then eventually I myself I had issues because I couldn't, capture my finances. I didn't know what was going on. I was just working, employing a lot of people. I was just giving them salary, not based. Now I stopped paying salaries after a while, and I started going into commission, like Mrs. Aisha said. I was till this point, I don't pay salaries anymore. It's what you do. I give you, we have an agreement, do what you have to do, and I pay you for what you're doing. I'm not going to pay any salary. I had a lot of staff that were just collecting money, and they're not giving value for what they were collecting.
Mm.
Some 100, some 60,000, so they were just collecting money. And I myself, I'm doing the business. I can't even I'm not enjoying the business. So I had to learn all that. And it helps you to put proper structure. I mean, structure is what makes business grow. When there's structure in the business, you don't even have to struggle because everything is has been put in place. Even if you're not there, the business can run for 3 months, 6 months without you. I don't have to be there. I've not sold in a long while, and people are there. I don't have to be there because everything I learned how to put everything in place, and that is the business side of your skill. So we need to find a way of not only the fashion school, all the fashion businesses need to know that entrepreneurship is key. We need to put it in the business side. How do I keep my finances? How do I do customer service? How do I employ my staff? How do I give them job description and all that? How do I give them targets? This is what you're supposed to meet, and they know that you're not just going to be paid for nothing or doing nothing. So all those are there. Do you have work logs and all that? All that I didn't know initially. So we need to have it. I think it's very essential for the business, for our industry and whoever is planning to start whatever in the fashion industry.
Okay. Thank you. So, Teju, what is the structure? Like, what kind of structures do you think we need to put in the education system? Mrs. Smith spoke about structure when it comes to growing a fashion business. So now, in the education aspect, in the schools, what kind of structures do you think we need to put there in order to ensure that people are well equipped, to compete globally and stuff like that?
So the first thing is our curriculum. We need to beef up the curriculum, and also you can't teach what you don't know. So people need to actually go and get more knowledge. I believe knowledge is power. I'm very passionate about getting more knowledge because practicable knowledge is really power. The knowledge that you practice is power. And the reason why most people are jumping into fashion schools is because it pays. I can tell you for a fact that it pays. So most people would rather it's training. Imagine you train 2 people and you get 300,000. Do you know how many clothes you sew to get 300,000? So it pays. That's why people are going for it. But then we need to start to define the objectives. Then also we need certifications. So I think if we have certification, that's probably another area in which the government could come in, apart from investment, like I said earlier, certification. So there needs to be a basis for certification.
Okay.
The way the people that, for example, are organizing IELTS, they're not the people training, but then they are just there as a board to certify you. It's something I feel like we can go into, because the truth is, if we say we want to start to retrain all the fashion designers in Nigeria, it's a lie. We can't get it done.
Wow.
But if there's like a certification and everybody knows that, anybody that has this certification is actually like top notch, then people that are now trying to go to fashion school are now looking out for that certification. So the people that are training as well are going to start to study and try to get more knowledge just to be able to get that certification, just like you do in IELTS. Nobody cares where you train to take the exam, but you have to train properly so you can take the exam and so you can pass. So if we have that kind of certification, it kind of forms a barrier for people, for like it helps us get the best people, and also helps people to like kind of step up. So we need that form of certification. We need curriculum, very important. Well, the certification would automatically come with the curriculum, of course. The way IELTS comes with their own curriculum and what you need to learn. I believe that is one an easy way to go about it. It's not going to be fast. It's not going, because of course there needs to be a board that comes up with the curriculum, and I feel like also for the heads of whatever association and whatever, people need to start to focus on these people that actually have a skill, people that are actually equipped enough to actually run those things. Because I feel like number one problem with Africa in general is that it's not the people that are the best for the job that run it.
Yeah.
That's why at the end of the day, it's all like messy, because the people that are at the top say they don't know what they are doing. So we need to start to think about all that, because the truth is, if we are going to make progress, we have to start thinking in terms of radical change. We can't keep doing what we've been doing over time and expect that things will get better. That's my 1 cent. Yes.
Okay, so the final question from me, I'll ask Mrs. Aisha is, so now that Teju has said that, okay, these are the things we need for a structured fashion school that can help us bring about a structured industry. What other bodies do you think we can work with to see that these things that she has said are actually brought to life? Because the truth of the matter is, these kind of discussions go on like from time to time, but by the time we keep having this kind of discussions, what are the way forward? Like, what are we going to do? Who are we going to meet? Because at the end of the day, we need people to implement these things we are talking about. These are great ideas. These are beautiful things that we should put into consideration. But what are the bodies? Who can we meet? Who can we talk to? To see that this is actually brought to life, so to say.
Okay, so I'll start from the training and then I'll go to the farm where the textile is being made.
Okay.
For the training, I think the Nigerian Board for Tertiary Education is the best place to start, and then Ministry of Education in general for secondary school, like Mrs. Smith said. So I think Ministry of Education would be the first place to go. So that fashion design, if they want to put it under vocational skills or whatever, it should start in secondary schools. People can pick up the skills, and then the Nigerian Board for Tertiary Education should have fashion design courses, which should be for 4 years, and then they need to collaborate with experts in the field. They can get lecturers outside of the people that they have to come and teach practicals. So Ministry of Education, MBTE for education. Moving on to the farm now, the source for our products, because we are just teaching them together. We have a big issue when it comes to sourcing. That's why our things are expensive. We can't compete globally. So I think the Nigerian Textile Manufacturers Association and the Nigerian Garment Manufacturers should also come into play. So they need to make better textiles, because for my own personal brand, I cannot use the cotton that they are producing, because I can't, my clients are not going to wear that quality of cotton. You can only use it to sew school uniforms for public schools. Private schools are not going to buy that uniform from you. So Nigerian textile and garment manufacturers need to come into play. Fashion designers need to come into play. Now, there are some links that are missing. Pattern makers are not together. Owners of fashion schools who are supposed to be talking with Ministry of Education and NBTE are not together. They need to come together and have a sit down with the Ministry of Education and sort those things out. The Nigerian textile manufacturers and garment makers need to have a sit down because of the kinds of fabrics that are being produced for us to use. The Fashion Designers Association need to sit down with the textile manufacturers and the garment manufacturers to say, we are fashion designers, we need good fabric, we need great finishing. So we need you people to step up your game. These are the kinds of fabrics that we need. These are the kinds of finishings that we need. If your garment factory doesn't have the right technical capacity, you shouldn't get a certificate to operate. You shouldn't have a certificate to operate. Then the pattern makers, the technical people now need to come together. Pattern makers. The tailors have their association. In fact, tailors association is the strongest in the whole value
They are
chain.
more organized
Is
than
the
us. They are
strongest.
so plenty.
Yes. And then you cannot, if you do PIM, they will go and report to
yes, they'll carry your
their group.
machines.
They will come and they'll, you know, so they are even more organized. But there are trust issues between them and designers, because designers have been mean to tailors. That's why tailors are the way that they are. A majority of them are not formally schooled, but designers have taken advantage of that, and it is unfair. So a truce needs to be called. They need to sit down with the fashion designers. I really wanted Mr. Collar to be here, because he needs to sit down with them and let us talk about how to do things. Fashion designers, if you don't want to pay salary, if you can't afford it, you work based on commission. There should be rules in place to say when you hire somebody, pay them commission, whether it's weekly, bi-monthly, or monthly. But it's based on the work they do that I can pay. I can't pay salary. Not when it's time for money, trouble. You know, so then they have to have that sit down. Now let me go to fashion technology. This is something that is novel to Nigeria. Teju has information about this. I'll of course take your email after this, but let us try also to collaborate. And even you can reach out to Mrs. Smith. There are things that if we don't begin to apply tech in fashion, then we have not started. And the time for applying tech was yesterday or not today. It was yesterday. So we are late on it, but let us start.
Yeah, exactly.
So let us just begin to talk to this Ministry of Education, Nigerian Textile and Garment Manufacturers, Fashion Designers of Nigeria, school owners, fashion school owners should come together. Technical people like pattern makers, illustrators, because these are technical designers, they are not fashion designers. They should come together. Tech now, 3D pattern making, computer aided design, all of these things are things that can take a lot of stress out of our work and, you know, can help us compete. So I think we should just, these organizations, let's just do it. If your brother or sister doesn't want to do, you try and do. So that at the end of the day, we can all come together and have a fashion council, which when we walk to the Senate, when we go to the Senate and say, we want to have a fashion council, this is a document that we have put together, we have organized our value chain, all the stakeholders in our value chain, from the farm, from the cotton farming to runway. Everybody has agreed to this document. The government will now take us seriously. They will now create a council, which they have to pick stakeholders from within us, people who know what they are doing, to head that council. So let us start somewhere. Anybody can start. It doesn't have to be me or you. Anybody can start. Let's just start. That's my advice. And these are the organizations that I think can help us.
Okay. Can I say something? I remember I'm also very passionate about this fashion and technology. I launched something like, I think it should be the third year now. I called it Fashion Summit, where we're supposed to have different people open up discussion for fashion designers. At least I focused on my own state. I call it Southwest Fashion Summit, to where we can bring younger fashion designers together to talk about all these things we are talking about. So, and we've been able to do it for 3 years now, and it's really nice. It opens up conversation like what was, how can technology affect, how does technology affect fashion? And I brought in a lot of people from Lagos who's already doing the technical side of it and all that, to teach some of these things that we're discussing about. And I think when we start doing that and not waiting for just trying to influence our own, influence our own sphere of influence. When we start that, it's like a movement. We start seeing changes and all that. I've done it for 3 years, and the result has been very fantastic, at least within my own state. And a few people, some other states, like I'm targeting states like Ondo State and Abeokuta and all those places where there's no much enlightenment and all that, so that they come from their states and join us, and we have these conversations to open up their minds that the possibilities of what we can have if we're able to see that we are really behind in Africa and in Nigeria especially. What is happening outside the country is different from what we are doing here. How can we leverage on all these things and technology and push what we are doing forward? And we have a lot of young people that are exposed to, how to use all this new tech and all that. But how can they apply it to what they are doing, which is what was my focus when I started. And it's good. So I think we can all do that in our own little space and come together. I would love to work with those of you that I can see here, because I know from what we said, we have the same mindset. And I believe movements start like that. And I'm just really pained that Mr. Kola Kudus is not here. It would have been a very good one for us to be able to push this forward. So I'm looking at, maybe we're still going to have another session so that we'll have him here. Because
now you have Southwest Summit. We could have a North Central Summit with just partner. She's in Paris. Yes. She could have a Nigerian designer summit, Paris edition. Yeah.
So that's how the movement starts and the change starts. Actually, change starts with us. When we start, then others follow, and then we keep seeing the changes bit by bit. I know that what I've done, I was able to bring a lot of people from Lagos to speak and share the experiences and all that. And those who are already doing the tech part taught us how to use some of this technology to move our businesses forward, and really expose us to those of us that are still doing manual, what is actually happening and all that. So it helps people to think outside the box and see possibilities of where to take their businesses and all that. So I think it's a good one, and kudos to Esther for starting this. So let's keep the fire burning and keep it moving.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, it has been really, really, really insightful. Thank you. I think we have a question in the chat box. So someone says, who is actually a fashion designer in Nigeria? Is it just someone who has been to a fashion school? Okay, so who wants to answer the question before we begin?
Sorry, I would like to say fashion school in quotes. I don't think a lot of even like international fashion designers, to be honest, a lot of them didn't even go to fashion school. But you know what they had? Fashion education. So it's very like a structured fashion education. So they knew what exactly it is that that is supposed to be done. And a fashion designer is really
okay. So what is a fashion education? What is fashion education?
Fashion education is knowing what to do, how to do it, what is being done, what your level is on the value chain, your skills, how to put them together. That's education. Going to school is not the same as having an education. There's a lot of people that have gone to university and they can't even do anything. No. So that's
translate what they've done.
Yes, exactly. So we need to focus on education, not going to school. That's one. So a fashion designer is actually just someone that does the design, that brings the design. So you see, in that, like we've been talking about this chain of value. There's so many people on that list. So like I always tell a lot of my students, if you just want to be a fashion designer, then go and work for someone and know that you are just creating the design. Yes. Because the truth is, what most of us in Africa are doing are we are fashion entrepreneurs. That's why most times when I introduce myself, I call myself a fashion entrepreneur, because I'm not just a designer. So you see,
I would say, okay, sorry.
Oh, sorry. You can pitch in what you wanted to say.
No, when you finish. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think if you are saying if a fashion designer is somebody that actually creates the design. So people are now fashion designers and entrepreneurs, fashion designers and other things, fashion designers and technical specialists and whatnot. If you even check for like corporate job descriptions in the international fashion industry, when they put their job descriptions, they're putting what exactly they want from everybody. Even the people that are doing the fashion illustrators and the people that are doing 2D designers, they are called a different name. So the tailor or the dressmaker is really the what they call here technical specialist. There are people that actually put in all the joining, exactly. So then you have the pattern makers here. You even for mass production, because that's recently what I've been doing a lot here. For mass production, you see that you have even the pattern maker here does the 2D and the 3D designs. So a lot of them do it on the computer skill, not even manually. And that's solely all they do.
Yes.
So I think we all need to start to look for what exactly is our position in the long value chain. And it's not a competition for name. I'm a designer, I'm not a designer.
And I really think that we need to do more on letting people know the different places they can sit on the value chain, because there are a lot of things. In fact, I believe that in Nigeria we haven't even scratched the surface of
We haven't.
the industry, because
We are producing
once you say
15% capacity.
I am in fashion, the next thing that comes to your mind is you can you don't have to sew in the fashion industry. There are some people that are in fashion here that don't even know how to fix
anything exact.
And you know the funny thing,
and they make money more money than those of us.
Exactly. And you know the funny thing, the way the world is going, the future of the fashion industry is that we are going to ditch sewing at some point.
At some point,
People are already
the
using
rising of
3D printing.
sustainability.
So you see that I can cut and sew. Really, design and the other things associated with the process is really the thing we should focus on, not just I can cut and sew. Because if you can cut and sew and you are picked out of that value chain, so what next?
What happens? I was going to explain that I have been a fashion designer for a long time. I never really, yes, I learned pattern making and all of those things, and I applied for practice sake, and when I was starting out. But I stuck to what I was taught, not to meddle in technical work. I do it for my own information. And of course, fashion design, all the techniques that were required for pattern making and even the garment, because I did fashion design and I also did garment construction, just for information, education sake.
Yeah.
So the person that is asking about who a fashion designer is. So a fashion designer is the dreamer, if I may put it that way. So that if you intend to be a fashion designer, you should be the dreamer. So maybe you have an eye naturally, or you can also cultivate an eye. You should know how colors work. You should be able to transform or translate an inspiration into real life. So when you begin to get inspiration about things, you should be able to put them together, no matter how stupid it is. So just write it down, whatever it is, you should put it on a cardboard or on your phone, whichever medium you want to use. But just you use that to create a mood board. So that informs your direction when you are designing. Then you want to be able to put those inspirations on paper so that people can understand and translate it. Somehow, your job description also requires that those things that you're thinking must be achievable. So while you're dreaming, you're transforming your thoughts into sketches. You want to make sure that it's achievable. You're not sketching something that cannot come to life. And then sometimes you just simply ask the technical people, is this possible? Can we have this done? So they can inform you as to whether or not it would work. Let me tell you for sure, when you begin to meddle in technical, that is why we don't have amazing designers. I don't mean this as an insult.
Truth.
I'm just saying the reason why we don't have great designers is because we meddle in things that are not our business. When once you begin to meddle in the garment making, you begin to meddle in the money, then it will affect your creativity. When once you see that, oh, I paid salary of 1 million this month and we only made 1.5 million. As a creative, it will mess you up. you won't be able to, you begin to, so don't meddle in those things. Get an accountant, get marketing people. They don't have to work for you. You pay them
Do them
off,
all,
and
they can be contract
yes,
staff.
yes, you have a
You just
budget. Everybody does,
outsource it.
yeah, outsource those things. Focus on your creativity. Let your pattern, for your technical people, focus on their work. That way, you will not be over copying designs. It's okay to take inspiration from other people's work, but I tell you this: no two people design the same dress. If you
No way,
focus
no.
on your creativity, you will not design the same dress, even if it's the same color and the same silhouette. If you are really
And you
focusing
most
on
likely,
what is inspiring you and
you
channeling
exactly,
it,
and you have a story behind your design.
yes, that red dress, that red flared dress, if it was a clock that inspired it, it will have a panel from that clock, which that will be different from another person's red dress that was inspired by a bottle. So, channel your inspiration, focus on that, and you'd find that people will gravitate towards your designs. So that's who a fashion designer should be, if you ask me.
Thank you very much. I feel like, most times we disturb ourselves with too many things. And that's why, we just think it's okay for somebody to come with a design. Some will even ask you, do you have a vision? And you're calling yourself a fashion designer.
We are tailors. We are tailors. We do that.
Yeah, so basically that's it. So I really, really appreciate everyone. Thank you everybody for your time. Thank you for the
Welcome.
session. I really, really enjoyed myself and I really learned a lot. So this is just like we've been saying, it's a start of something that we're going to continue, till we get the fashion industry to where it's supposed to be, so that we can stand anywhere in the world and compete and be respected. Because we are creative people in Nigeria, we are hardworking people, and so
And the truth is that we are really doing well for ourselves without structure. See
exactly,
how far we
without a
have.
lot of structure, exactly.
And we have amazing taste. If only we could push it a step further.
The structure,
Yeah. Choms K Apparel. Yes, I have your email, so I'll send you a mail. Thank you very much. All right, everybody. Thank you
Bye
again, and have a
Thank
bye.
you for having
bye.
us. We appreciate it. Bye bye.
Thank you for having us, Esther.
Yeah,
Well
bye.
done.